Hey everyone, how we doing? My name is Tim Pongraz and this is Focus on Detailing. Today's video is all about working on a very special four-wheel drive that belongs to a very special person. What I'll be working on today is a 1999 model Toyota Land Cruiser Prado in absolutely fantastic condition for its age, and what I'll be applying to it is a unique and new coating from a company called Onyx. It's their top grade graphene coating with a 10H hardness level, which is going to be a perfect fit for this four-wheel drive as it's no garage queen. It does get taken off on off-road adventures, as it should. Rather than blabbering on too much within the intro, you likely came to this video to watch how I clean, prep, correct, and protect this four-wheel drive. So without further ado, let's get started. At first glance, she looks pretty tidy for a car that is a daily and used for off-road trips. A true credit to the original owner and the current one. But we need to have it looking a whole lot better before we go layering on that graphene coating. Now I assessed what needed to be done and identified the best products for the initial cleaning processes. The first thing, as always, that gets the attention is the wheels and wheel wells. Since there's quite a bit to them and they are larger, I separate the cleaning jobs for more thorough work. I use the pressure washer to blow out any stuck on mud and grime in the arch, before giving them a good spray down with our APC from Autoraz. Now this is likely the only time I'm thankful for a lift kit when I'm working on a car, as it does make for easier cleaning and disposal of all that grubbiness that's built up over time. Once I'd finished scrubbing, it was then pressure washed down, and don't stress that it falls out over the tyre and rim, as that's what's going to be getting cleaned up next in the exact same fashion. Up next was a good pressure rinse for those tyres to remove the stuck on dirt and help the APC go a little further. I then used Maguire's Ultimate Wheel Cleaner across the face and inside the wheel, reacting and breaking down the built up brake dust and to help dislodge the bonded iron particles. While this is happening, I sprayed more of the APC across the tyre and agitated it with a firm bristle brush, the same one I used for the wheel arches. This is what helps remove that grotty brown tyre look that they get over time and sets them up for tyre shine application much later on. I now moved back to the wheel and started agitating that with my wheel woolies. Because it was left for longer while I was working on the tyre, it's done a superior job of reacting with the iron particles and removal of all that mess, as we just simply don't want that across the rim. Realistically, the wheel woolies and brush is what makes all the difference, helping to further remove and clean up the surfaces. Both the tyre and rim were then pressure washed from top to bottom. This same process was carried out in the exact same way for the others, including the spare one that I'd taken off the back. It's a slow process doing them separately like this, but it does ensure that a more thorough job will be done, and that's what we're all about. While focusing in on the lower part of the car, I thought it'd be great to clean the not so visible but still very important spot, the underbelly, or bash plate. I soaked it with the APC and let it dwell for a few seconds before giving it a good scrub down and a rinse off as well. Up next, I could start working on the body of the car. To minimise the chance of installing scratches, I started with a safe foam cannon wash. This created a thick blanket of snow over every surface, breaking down and safely lifting light mess. Any grime that can be removed without touching the car is a bonus, and if you're wondering what product gave such foamy results, then that would be from none other than Autoglim's Polar Blast. Now while completely covered, it's a great time to work around the car with some APC and a soft bristle brush to work into the tighter spots, and with a car like this, there's quite a lot. Once content that all the spots were cleaned up and the foam had time to dwell, I pressure washed it all off from top to bottom, preparing it for the next washing stage, the 2-bucket step. With one bucket dedicated to soap and one for rinsing out the mitt, I worked in sections of the car. As always, starting from the top and working my way down. I'd rinse as I'd complete a section or panel as well. This is a good idea if the weather is a little bit warmer to help prevent the soap from leaving any streaks or stains. As this soft cloudburst mitt glides across the surfaces, it's safely collecting that unsightly filth to later be released into the rinse bucket. This is a pretty straightforward step, but a necessary one to ensure the car is all set for the next deeper cleaning stage, the paint decontamination step. First thing I did was grab my clay bar and begin moulding it for a more malleable feel. That won't be used on its own though, as to kill two birds with one stone, I'll be using an iron fallout remover as well to act as a clay lubricant. A generous spray over the surfaces before I started working in straight motions with the clay bar. What we're trying to achieve here is removal of the more bonded contaminants, ones that can't be removed from the wash mitt and or some that we can't even see. If your car has plenty of iron fallout, you'll soon know, as the product will react, turning purple. This is dislodging it from the surface, and the added friction from the clay bar removes it as it safely glides across. It should no longer feel grippy or rough, but have a very slick feel. This is a good indication that those contaminants are being removed. You can also tell how well it's working by how the water behaves once you rinse it all off. It should pool quite heavily and not want to fall off the surfaces, as there's no longer any protective qualities on the car. Stripped completely clean, which is exactly what we want. This is really good in this situation, although it does make drying the car a little harder, as the water will likely be resting over a lot of it still, but that's just part and parcel of creating a superior surface to work on later. So now the Prado was all done in terms of the cleaning steps. What was up next was bringing back the painted surfaces through correction work, but not before we tape up those no touchy spots first. I do this to ensure no cutting or polishing compounds come in contact and potentially discolor the plastic surfaces. A sometimes fiddly but necessary job. I've had a lot of success with Shine Supply's classic cut, so that along with ShineMate's yellow cutting pad were put to use on a test panel to see if this combo would achieve the results I was after. I know it's a safe option as there was enough clear coat left after checking, and I've had plenty of success with using the classic cut as stated before. Not the most aggressive, but works extremely well in removing defects and still managing to refine the paintwork down to a very glossy finish. Now the less clear coat we remove when correcting to achieve great results is the best possible option. This was done over the entirety of the car, although not under the roof rack as that had to be taken off and completed at a later stage, a bit hard removing it on my own. Over the larger surfaces I used my 12mm ShineMate polisher with a 5-inch backing plate, and for the tighter spots I'd bring out the 12mm mini ShineMate polisher with a 3-inch backing plate. I get asked quite a bit what polishers I use, and to be honest I've stuck with ShineMate. They're an entry-level polisher, so they are affordable, but they do have a great feel and smoothness about them. I was quite impressed how well this combo was making that pearl paint shine and remove those unsightly defects. It's a constant practice to check where I just finished working with a light, to see if the results were what I wanted and consistent. I finally finished the cutting stage over the car, and it was time to refine the work down, using Scholl Concepts S30 Plus and an orange ShineMate pad. This combo provides for a softer correcting job, and would be perfectly matched to create that high shine finish that we're after. This was done in the exact same fashion before, though this stage, as stated before, is to refine down the work. Some marks can be installed as micro-marring from the cutting stage, which is why we follow up with the lighter polish. Even if the cutting stage did manage to create a defect-free finish, the polish is what helps jewel the paintwork to a higher gloss level, and for this job was the final correcting stage before moving on to the next step. What was to happen now was to focus in on the metal across the car. I used Bowden's own metal polish along with an applicator pad and a separate towel. Circular motions across the bull bar was where it's at, but keep in mind this is dirty work. A lot of oxidation can be removed, even on clean looking metal like this bull bar, so avoid using your favourite towel to buff clean. They'll inevitably get dirty. If it's overly oxidized and scratched, you can use a pad and machine polisher to speed up the process, but doing it by hand is still working really well and is helping to bring back that nice mirror look. The next and final polishing stage was dedicated to the glass. I brought out Shine Supply's glass polish with yet another applicator / polishing pad. With small circular motions I worked in the product that felt runny to begin with but soon became grippy, especially when it came to buffing it off. It's recommended that you wipe the initial excess off with a damp towel, then buff with a separate dry towel to get the best results. The glass felt totally different once a section was completed, having a much cleaner feel under the towel rather than gritty and rough. The final cleaning step before laying down the graphene goodness is one very important one, and that's a complete wipe down over all the surfaces with a paint cleanser. In my case, I'll be using Shine Supply's Throwback. This cleaner removes any existing residual oils or film left from the correcting stages, allowing for an optimal bond for the coating to the surface. An immaculate surface is what we're after to get the best possible results out of this coating, both with longevity and appearance. Throwback highlights that it actually aids in breaking down and dissolving existing oils and residue for a more thorough clean over standard IPAs. The first protecting step was fixing up those door handles. Mr. Black from Bowden's Own was used, and it was perfect for the job, bringing back those dull door handles to near new. These would later be additionally protected with Onyx as well, as it can be applied to plastics too. I start by making sure there is plenty on the surface before wiping any excess away to leave behind a clean sheen finish. A small wait was needed for the additional protection so Mr. Black could properly cure. Now the time had come. Bring out the graphene coating from Onyx. Using their applicator pad they've supplied, I applied a small line across it before then going over to the bonnet and began working in straight, cross-hatch motions. This ensures I get an even and complete coverage over the selected area. It was an absolute breeze to apply, easily being able to see even on this colour where I had been to make sure I wasn't missing any spots, and I knew where to start for the next section, ensuring overlapping. Now I waited a few minutes for the flash time, essentially the best time before buffing off. A few contributing factors here being obviously the instructions of your given product and the temperature and humidity when you're working. That said, it was amazing to buff clean, and the feeling left behind was incredibly slick. You can really tell that a protective layer was left behind. It is important with this coating, and like many others, that you work out of the direct sunlight and on surfaces that are dry and cool to the touch, pretty standard. This was smooth sailing, and I was able to work over the car quite quickly, as a little bit was going a long way. What I found with this coating is that even though a thin layer had just been applied, the finished result felt like the polar opposite. It gave the sensation that a very thick layer had been laid down, purely because it felt so slick and looked so glossy. It also has the ability to be applied to metal, so the bull bar got a good going over too. The whole car was done in no time, and I was happy to show off the end results. It had been completely cured after 4 hours, but they do state it will exhibit additional hardening after 7 to 14 days. Now it looked amazing, too good to be taken off-road, but we have the confidence knowing that it's been coated with graphene, a 10H hardness level. It's now protected from UV rays, preventing fading, resisting corrosion and oxidation, and the best bit is the maintenance now. I waited several days before letting water make contact with the surfaces, but when it came time to it, it was really impressive. The water and the coated surfaces wanted nothing to do with each other, easily getting it to sheet off or bead depending on how the water hit the car. This coating will obviously be making the Prado look better, but also shield it against light scratches with its 10H level of hardness and N1 level of smoothness. Now this grade of smoothness aids in reducing friction from the daily contaminants, less contact, and further reducing the amount of times for maintenance cleaning, as less grot is likely to adhere. This coating is stated to provide a lifetime of protection. I'm really not sure about this, as it's a common phrase used by dealership coatings, and we all know about them. But we're not dealing with common ceramic coatings here anymore, or whatever they use. It's hard for me to test this and judge it for myself, so I'll have to go with them and give them the benefit of the doubt. Other than that, I'm extremely happy with the results, and would recommend it to others for sure. I'll be adding a link to their website for more details if you wish to check it out. On that note, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and don't forget to check out the socials. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all later.